Bum, 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 bum. I think we are live.
All right. Good
What do
morning,
you think?
Tellman.
Good morning. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. I slept really well for the fourth consecutive night in a row. So feeling
Awesome.
rested and ready for the day.
I want to know, I meant to ask this yesterday, is what of the changes that we discussed, like what have you done that you believe has helped your sleep?
Um, I think ultimately the number one cause of lack of sleep has been stress factors in my life. And I
Yep.
noticed that when really acute stress is not present, I naturally sleep so much better.
Okay, so one of the things is that some of the stressful things calm down.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's an example of like there's some external factors that weren't causing so much stress. Did you do anything in order to improve your situation? Did you proactively do like implement any of the ideas?
Um, I did like a mindfulness meditation the other day, which was very relaxing and like brought me to the present moment. I'm sure that had some effect.
Mhm.
Um,
Epsom salt bath,
the Epsom salt
like
bath.
that's a
Yeah,
big deal, especially if you're low on electrolytes and various minerals, man. Like
yeah.
can
No,
turn things around if you don't do that very
that put
often.
me out. Yeah, that was deeply relaxing. I mean, it was like a sedative.
Cool. Well,
Yep.
I'm glad you're back on track. Rock and roll. So is that your positive focus,
Oh, I guess that's one of my positive
or is there something else? Yeah.
focuses. Yesterday I had a really cool new experience that was super exciting.
Oh, right,
And
for Valentine's Day.
yeah, so Claudia surprised me and brought me to Cirque du Soleil, and they
Oh,
had the whole
cool.
big top, I mean, like the old school big top circus tent.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was amazing. Just all the acts and lots of acrobatics. They had
Yeah.
this big giant square cube in the center, and it could rotate. I mean, it was huge, massive, like, a couple stories tall. And that was like a main central theme of all of the acts.
Yeah.
And it had sides on it, and it had all these like blocks, like it was made of all these blocks. And there was a projector, it was used as a projector screen. And on the projector screen, like what the image that was projected was all of these square blocks that were moving around, and it was looking so trippy. I mean, just very unusual movement of blocks just shifting and moving. But then actual physical blocks in the wall would sometimes pop out, and then there'd be, acrobats like that would jump out. And it was really hard to distinguish. The projection was so clear and realistic that it was hard to distinguish what was real and what was projected
Right.
on the cube. It was
Cool.
super cool. And yeah, there was amazing acrobatics. Like the teeter totters, where one acrobat would jump on this side and the other one would fly up and do
Was
flips.
it
And
dark or light in the room?
it was mostly dark with stage lighting. And then there'd be periods where the whole room would be lit up, and there'd be clown acts that would
Yeah.
run through the audience and
Yeah.
things like that.
Cool.
Um, yeah, and one of the highlights, they had this giant puppet that emerged, like the whole side of the cube broke apart into little cubes. And then this giant puppet, I mean, 2 or 3 stories tall puppet, came out like a giant marionette, and it unfolded and stood up. And then there was an acrobat, and she was like interacting with it, and like kind of like King Kong, where the lady was like up in the King Kong's hand and just sort of doing all these acrobatic maneuvers up on its shoulders and limbs. And it was incredible.
Can you imagine what it must be like inside the mind of the person that conceived of that show?
I know, right?
No, but think about that for a second.
Yeah.
like the level of grandiosity, the level of detail, the scope of the vision for such a monumental and you know, and that's one of hundreds, maybe thousands of Cirque du Soleil shows. Yeah,
Right.
I've been to a few, and they're
You have.
amazing,
Okay, cool.
right?
Yeah, they are amazing.
But the scope of vision, it's a really good example of scope of vision that is perceivable with the human senses. Like there are lots of people who have scope of vision that's way bigger than that, but it's all, you know, it's invisible, right? It's in the digital
Right.
world, or it's in, you know, these different types of ways that we live or connect. But like when you do it in a physical world expression with entertainment where people are completely captivated and engulfed in that thing that's created, we all have the capability of thinking like that, but most of us don't dare even try.
Right. And
But,
I mean, and then on another level, it's one thing to have that level of imagination and the ability to create stories like that. And then another whole thing to have a stage to present it on where people will see it, where you can bring that to life.
yeah, well, that's because different people are in charge of these things.
Yeah.
It's not one person.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, but we all start as one person.
Right.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, that's a really cool example of like, you have one piece or maybe several pieces, but like you are one piece to a much grander and greater puzzle. And as an entrepreneur, we can move into someone else's performance for a while, and we can contribute. We can hone and refine our skills. We can help them make something great. You know, like we can be part of their performance as an actor or as a lighting specialist or a sound specialist or a janitor or whatever, right? And that's cool. But then we can expand our own vision and begin to bring other people in to help us create things too. And you can move back and forth between being supportive of other people's visions and creations and your own. I found that it's pretty important to move back and forth, because I found that when I was in exclusively the driver's seat, the command center, the one in charge for too long, I became very intolerant and not very patient or nice often with my team members, because I wanted things done better and I wanted them done faster with less bullshit, you know, and that's all true. But I very rarely would slow down enough to really show appreciation and pay attention to what had been created. It was more like I was looking to make it better. So I was pointing out flaws and difficulties or flaws and challenges or errors in what was done in order to improve it. But that didn't necessarily make people feel very good and want to continue working with me in some cases.
Right.
So, but anyway, yeah, this is cool. So you went to see Cirque du Soleil, and I mean, is there anything else about this?
Yeah, I mean, it was a surprise. It was super exciting. It was a new experience. It was awesome I mean, just the structure of the Big Top itself was amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, just thinking about how cool a lifestyle that must be for these people. They get to just travel all over the world performing. It seems like they're having a lot of fun on stage.
Well, they are also acting.
They're also acting. That's true. It's probably a lot of hard work. I was thinking about it. They had 2 shows in a day.
Super hard work.
Super hard work.
Like I've known a bunch of people that have been involved with both Cirque du Soleil and other circuses. And
okay, interesting.
It is mostly brutally hard work with very low pay.
Okay, is it? Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yep.
For everyone. Yeah. like high stress all the time. It's like performing, breaking down, setting up, traveling to another place, performing, setting up, performing, breaking down, trying to eat somewhere in there.
Yeah, it must
Pretty
take a certain kind of person.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
Yep.
For sure.
Um,
That's cool.
but yeah, it was amazing.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Let's see. Well, for Valentine's Day, I didn't go to Cirque du Soleil, but I got interviewed by these two podcasters. It was really, really funny.
Right. You
So,
mentioned a little bit of that off the air. I'm excited to hear the story.
yeah, so yesterday we did an episode.
Yeah.
And I talked about how I'd stumbled on this funny podcaster group, and I joined it, and someone asked if someone would jump on and talk about spicy food. And I was like, I can talk about spicy food. I used to have a salsa company. It was my first business in a series of businesses. And that I was basically, I said, and they were like, tomorrow, this was, well, yesterday was Friday, Valentine's Day. So Thursday evening, they made this post. I had just joined the group minutes before. And so it popped up in my feed, and it was like, does anybody want to hop on and talk about spicy food tomorrow evening? And my girlfriend was out of town. So I was like, I was just hanging with the kids and stuff. And I was like, Friday night, it's pretty chill around here. So whatever, cool. And so there's these two guys, and Michael and Jeremy, and it's called Steal This Podcast. Or maybe it's called Steal Your Podcast, whatever. Steal someone's podcast. And
Right.
and they're comedians. And I think they're cousins. And they live in Florida. And I think they're in their 30s. And they got me on Discord. And so I went and I looked them up before, and they had, a bunch of episodes, like over 20. And so I listened to 5 minutes of their most recent episode, but I was like in the car, running errands, driving around. I don't have a lot of time to like downtime for listening to rando podcasts.
Yep.
And so I listened to it for a few minutes and got their vibe, and I was like, all right, these guys are cool, I guess. We'll see. I have no idea, did no research. And so I just jumped on, and I told them in the message, I was like, hey, so my first business was a salsa company. I love hot sauce and hot foods. I'm a wealth hypnotist, and I help entrepreneurs to get shit done, And so if we can talk about hypnosis and entrepreneurship and business and salsa and hot sauce, I'm down. And they're like, we love all those things. Let's do it. So I was like, okay. And in the meantime, after you and I finished our episode, my buddy Jeff, one of our biggest fans, Jeff Levine from Silk City Hot Sauce, he calls me up on the phone, which he doesn't do very often. We don't talk that often, and so I pick it up, and I was not in a meeting when he called, and he's like, dude, I think it's great that you're getting involved with this comedians and podcasts. And he's like, I got involved with some comedians, and it was great for sales. He did like some white labels of his hot sauce for some comedians. And like so he's kind of been involved somehow in the hot sauce entertainment world in some different ways. He's like, I think this is going to be really good. And then he's like, oh, and by the way, I want to drop some hot sauce by for you. And so he brings by a bottle. I wish I had it in front of me. It's in the kitchen. But he brings by a bottle of Psychic Bigfoot, which is my favorite hot sauce by him, and is one of his most recent ones, and it's by far his best seller. It's an amazing label, Psychic Bigfoot, so good. Silk City Hot Sauce. And then he also brings by his brand new apple cider syrup infused with ghost pepper. So this
Whoa.
is going to be some blazing hot apples. I've never even had apple cider syrup before.
No, me
So
either.
apple cider syrup, ghost pepper apple cider syrup. So he brings by these 2 bottles, and I was out when he brought them by, so he left them out by my door, and and then I get on this podcast with these guys, and they have me on Discord, and I don't use Discord because I'm 48. I guess that I'm old man Tellman now, and I have Discord installed, but every time I've tried to use it, honestly, it's confused me, and so I shut it off. I'm like, this is for the birds. I'm out, and so but I had to do it. So I had to update Discord, which took a few minutes. And I couldn't figure out how to navigate around anything. I finally made my way into the room, and we did this whole episode. And it's going to air in like 2 weeks, 2 Mondays from there, or a week and a half, 2 Mondays from now.
Okay.
And Michael and Jeremy and Michael and Jeremy's Steal This Podcast, I think is what it's called. And there and so it opens up with this whole like scene that they kind of loosely scripted and then improved, and then I was a character in the scene, and so the beginning part of the podcast is fiction,
Okay.
and then they integrate me as their guest into where they're interviewing me, so that they integrate it into the story, because and then we roll into the interview, and they're like cracking extremely like not politically correct jokes
Okay.
all over the place.
Yep.
All over they're drinking bourbon, and and they got this bottle of hot sauce from this. So they both live in Florida. They're cousins, because they're talking about getting together for family gatherings and stuff,
Yep.
for like Christmas and things. I'm like, are you guys brothers or what's going on here? And it turns out they're cousins.
Wow.
And they've been doing this for 2 years, every Monday. Haven't missed a Monday, right? And so they're and they have some other shows that they do too, apparently. And then they got this bottle of hot sauce from this elderly Florida man who grows crazy hot peppers in his backyard, and then gives away the hot sauce. He doesn't even like the hot sauce, apparently, or like hot peppers or something. And so they had this crazy hot sauce that they tried on, quote, it wasn't technically on air because it was a recording, but during the recording, they tried the hot sauce, and then they videoed themselves. And one of the guys, apparently he's one of these guys with very few hot receptors. So different people like, I've known this for years, but you have different, just like we have different concentrations of receptors, and some people have a lot more spicy receptors, and other people have much fewer. And
interesting. I didn't know that.
Like generally, the people who crush with hot pepper eating contests, they have way fewer hot sauce receptors, so it's not as hot for them.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then there's people with extremely who've trained their heat tolerance, their pain tolerance super high, and so there are factors, right? But anyway, one of these guys seems like he has super high natural tolerance, and the other guy not as much. And so they're trying this hot sauce, and they're like hiccuping and belching and like, making like racist, sexist jokes. And, but they seem to be all over the spectrum with the racism and sexism. It's not from a singular standpoint. It's just kind of like, guys being jackasses, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And some of the jokes are funny, and some of them were like, dude, really? And, but it was a comedy podcast. It's like you're going to a comedy show, like, let it go. Like people are going to make like not cool jokes. That's why you're there. Right. And so that was interesting, because I'd never been on a show like that before. And during the show, I mentioned, because they had been given this hot sauce, I was like, dude, my friend Jeff, he just dropped hot sauce off for me. He was stoked about the fact that I was coming on this show, and he told me so. And they were like, he owns a hot sauce company. He's like, can you get him on? And Jeff has 2 kids, and I knew that they were sick. Anyway, whatever. So Jeff gets on, and I have because he doesn't have Discord. And so I take my iPhone and I put it on speakerphone, and I put it over by my microphone, and I point, the microphone of my iPhone toward the speaker for my computer. And so I essentially 3-wayed him in with my iPhone into the
Okay.
and he talked for a while and talked about hot sauce, and it was really funny. The whole thing was hilarious. And then when we were done, they were like, yeah, you should totally participate in our Discord channel. We have hundreds of super creative collaborators doing cool projects and cool things. You seem like you're cool, blah, blah, blah. And then I think Jeremy was like, have you ever considered being a voice actor? And I was like, no. He's like, you have a really good voice. You should consider being a voice actor.
Yeah, totally.
I'd never considered such a thing. That's interesting. Like, who knows? It would probably improve. Like, if I tried doing voice acting stuff, and then I took some classes on how to actually master tonality and things, because I haven't really studied any of that stuff, right?
Okay.
And
Yep,
so I any interesting vocal abilities I have is just through personal practice, not through any formal training, right? And so anyway, that was a weird so I got introduced to this crazy community of creative podcasters, and who are, irreverent and unchained, right? Unshackled by social norms or something in a certain way. And totally not professional. Like, in a certain way, professional, I guess, but not professional in the way that I'm used to hanging with. And so it was cool. So I made some new friends. I did a funny podcast episode, and it was great.
Awesome.
And so I'm now in like half a dozen groups on Facebook that have people who are looking to be guests and are looking to have guests on their podcast. And every day are posting, I'm available for X, Y, and Z, or I'm looking for X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
And it very quickly opened up an entire world that I vaguely knew existed at the furthest reaches of my mind, but not a community that I've ever been directly tapped into or connected into before. And so of creatives, of broadcasting creatives, not marketers.
Right.
Though there are lots of marketers who have podcasts, but like genuine creators who are creating something for the love of creating it as the first thing. I think that was that's my feeling about it. And so I guess I want to say that, today we're going to talk about webinars at some point, maybe. But a webinar and a podcast aren't actually that different. Okay. They're really not. It depends on how you decide to show up. If you decide that you're going to show up to your webinar and have every word scripted, cool. If you decide that you're going to show up to your podcast and have every word scripted, cool, right? Like, it's up to you. Podcasts are usually pre-recorded. In this case, it was pre-recorded. And in our case, we do everything live. And so the vibe was different. Like, every now and again, they would shift gears in a way that I could tell it was going to get edited out.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like, their voice would change, or the way that they were communicating with each other would change for a minute. It was weird, right? Like, I wasn't used to that side conversation.
Sure. Right. Okay.
Because I usually do everything live. And so that was interesting. But what was cool is that there are people who are doing podcasts in these groups on every topic imaginable. And if you are an entrepreneur, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need an audience. Okay. If you're going to be selling something, you need an audience to sell it to. And there are many ways to build an audience. But one way to build an audience that only as long as you have a phone and or a laptop with a webcam and a mic, even if it's kind of a crappy one, you have the ability to broadcast yourself on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitter or X, on TikTok, on podcasts, and through the entire podcast network. And there are tons of people that would love to have you talk about your thing, and tons of people that would love to be interviewed by you on your show to talk about their thing. And that is a free way that you can build an audience today. And that's exactly what we're doing with Get Shit Done. Right. So I'm very excited
cool.
about tapping into what I guess what I'm going to call the amateur podcast community, and
right.
like get a lot of exposure to different people as a hypnotist, and just go out and see what's out there,
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, and like if you want, just with these free Facebook groups, if you wanted to, you could be booked every single day on a different podcast. And I think that's exactly what now that I say it out loud, I hadn't thought that, but now that I say it out loud, that's something that I could do every day. And I could spend time doing every day if my calendar's not booked,
right,
as a guest, and every single time get in front of another audience,
completely
and
new audience, right?
Do my best to help them in any way I can, you know? And so, it's just, it's kind of, it's silly that I didn't see. I mean, this is like one of those, like staring me in the face, for a decade, I could have done this. 10 years ago, I could have done this, but I didn't. I didn't notice it. I didn't see it. Just kind of like it was there, but I had a blind spot. So really cool. That's what I'm excited about, is like, I guess I'm excited about podcasting specifically.
Cool.
And I didn't realize what was going on in that community. And I probably still don't realize what's going on in the community, but I'm starting to.
Yeah. That's cool to know. I know people do podcasts. I've been invited to a couple of different podcasts this past year, and that was a cool experience. But yeah, I never thought about like that there's this whole network of podcasters that are looking for people to feature on their show. So that's cool. Yeah, it's something I'd like to maybe look into also. I mean, just the idea of getting in front of a vastly different audience on a regular basis seems like highly beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that you should necessarily go back to this, especially since you're not currently living in that situation at all, but that maybe would be the irony of it all. Is the idea of like off-grid income is interesting to me, because it's off-grid living and how to make money while you're living off-grid.
Right.
Yep. Like for introverts who don't want to talk to people all the time, how can you make a living while you're living off-grid? Like when you're living 100 miles from civilization, how can you do that? Well, that's what we do. That's what we're exploring here. And so, there are a million different ways you can talk about that. But like, again, you can be teaching a lesson while you're like, I don't know, leveling a 2x4 or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Or something. Or from the
fixing my rainwater catchment system,
or hanging off the tree upside down or whatever.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So, but like then you have like a mission to share versus just a product to sell.
Just a product. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yep.
And Pure Path to Prosperity is moving in that direction. It's, you know, it's still, it's not like it's cool. People are joining it, but it also isn't uniquely yours at all. Right. It's like, what does that even mean? Who is it? What is it? There's no clarity there, but there's some benefit there that people, and the pure part relates to water. So it's not, you know, it's not like totally unrelated, but it's not ultra clear what it is when people are, you know, moving in there. Oh, by the way, did you ever write your description for your group?
I have a description written in there. I need to go back and update it and refine it. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
I'll put that on my list right now.
Yeah, you might even you might even do something like the Pure Path Prosperity, and then you might even in parentheses put for network marketers.
Okay. Yeah. Just to clarify. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because you want the right people.
Definitely.
Right? You want people who are open to network marketing. If they're not open to network marketing, they're not your people.
They're not in the right group. Yep, exactly.
Right. So where again, but that's not necessarily true of something like off-grid income. Right? You can explore any side hustle with off-grid income. Any work from home thing is off-grid income. The only difference is like you're building your house with your shirt off or whatever. You know, or like growing plantains or whatever.
That's right.
Okay. So check it out. So you have a great question. I have a not entirely unrelated idea about question asking, and I think we should focus on that, right? So all right, so step one, actually I'm going to give you mine first, and that way we'll be done with it, and then we can go right into webinars.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so here's the idea. So I think what you need in order to focus your mind on action is a combination of more accountability and leadership. But what I mean is you need to be the one leading. And so here's the idea, right? This is an observation that I had, and this is not at all unique to you. This is like, we're working together and I'm noticing a pattern, I think. And I think we can do something cool in order to help both of us move forward faster, right?
Great.
And hopefully everybody's watching the process. So what I noticed was, I was like, Eric, I challenge you to, do you remember what I challenged you to?
When? Yesterday?
A little bit longer ago than yesterday.
Oh, gosh, Tellman, you've challenged me to so many things.
well, you rose to the challenge and you did it fairly quickly. I said,
you challenged me to commit to doing my webinar.
Well,
to setting a date for it.
That's true. That is a challenge. That is absolutely. It's not the one I was thinking of. But that's absolutely true. Okay. But I did do that, and it totally. Case in point. Okay, it proves the same point. What I was thinking of is, I was like, Eric, I challenge you to get #1 of the leaderboard in the Get Shit Done community.
Oh, right. Yep.
Right. By the way, guys, if you're not a member of the Get Shit Done community, we've opened the doors for the time being. It was paid, and we've opened the doors for free to join our Get Shit Done school group for entrepreneurs who want to get shit done. We're going to train you to get shit done each and every day. Go log in at getshitdone.com. We'd love to see you on the inside before we close the doors again and start charging. So go check that out. So
they get a bunch of free stuff in there.
Bunch of free stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah.
We'll talk about that more in a little bit, though.
Right.
You get a bunch of really awesome free stuff that will help you get more shit done. Right. So here's the idea: is I challenge you to get to the top of the leaderboard and get shit done, and then you did, and you sent me a screenshot of it.
I did.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. It's great, but I noticed you got it done. I didn't have to tell you how to do it. You figured it out.
Yeah, I just did it.
Okay, right? You got
Yep.
it in there, and did it take a ton of time?
Not really. What, a couple of weeks?
Yeah, a little bit of time each day, probably.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, and did you have to schedule in time to do it?
Maybe I could have, but I didn't.
How did you do it then?
Just a little here and there.
Okay.
I just pop into the group, engage with the group, maybe feel inspired to post a piece of content, or maybe repurpose a piece of content that I just posted on Facebook
Yeah.
if it seemed relevant. Yeah.
What's your self-analysis? Like, what is it about a setup where I challenged you to get to the top of the leaderboard and I challenged you to set a date and to do the webinar? What, for you, your experience, what is it about that allowed you to get that shit done?
I mean, it's a form of accountability where there's an agreement made and there's somebody waiting for you to follow through on that agreement.
Okay. So your job is to start initiating that type of accountability more frequently.
Okay.
Rather than waiting for me to challenge you, you can do a public declaration of a challenge for yourself. You can ask to go over it with me, or ask for advice on how to set up a challenge, or I mean, you can call them challenges, but they're also like milestones, right? I mean, we're talking about like accomplishing something specific for a specific reason and getting a tangible result, right? Like, do your first webinar, dude. Stop dragging your feet.
Exactly.
You've been dragging your feet for years. What the heck?
Yep.
All right. I want you in the, why did I challenge you to get to the top of the group? Because I wanted some more activity in the group. We're doing the show every day. I want people to know who you are.
Yep.
Right. And so, so one thing is, if you can choose to step forward first before you're challenged by me or someone else, but you can choose to basically be the catalyst and spark that.
Yep.
That will dramatically increase your progress. Like,
okay.
every week, you really should have a challenge like that. Okay, where there's something. It doesn't have to be new, but like where you're trying to. It's either new or do something better than before, right? And a weekly webinar is an example of that.
Yeah, that's what came to mind.
Really good example.
Yep.
And
yeah, I can constantly improve on that, and I need to constantly improve on that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
as do most of us. Yeah, like everyone that's even doing it needs to constantly improve on it, right?
Yep.
So let's, speaking of so with that said, the idea here is, when you're thinking about questions, ask questions about how you and me and the rest of the Get Shit Done team are going to accomplish our goals. But think about it like you're the project leader. You're in charge. You need to understand how the whole thing works. You need to get it out of my head and into your head.
Okay.
And so that's where the questions are, is how do I do that? Like, how do I do that? How do we do that? Right? That's where all your questions are going to come from. So, for example, like what the first thing that popped into my mind, and this is like a lot of responsibility, but you could totally do it if you wanted to, is what if we put you in charge of the Get Shit Done weekly webinar? Now, maybe that's not the thing to do. It's an example. I know you're doing your own weekly webinar already, right? Like, so it's like a lot to ask. But for example,
for example's sake,
if you were in charge of getting our weekly webinar up, running, functional, and happening, and I'll give you all the information that you need, and I'll make suggestions on how to improve it. It's not because then what will happen is, like, every week you have a weekly challenge, like, that we're working on together. And so that sets up a scenario where there is that outside accountability, but you're also in charge
Right.
of this aspect. And so, and I mean, you are already doing that, and it's we've been talking about it for a long time, but we finally pulled the trigger on doing social clips, right?
Yeah.
And so we, in the last couple of days, we put out a crap load of short form videos as a result.
Yep.
Very similar to what we're doing there.
Right. And we found a super efficient way to do that and
That's
to
right.
schedule those posts. So it's just like broadcasting like crazy. Yep.
So think about, how can you ask questions about the work that we're doing together to get shit done? Because it's very, like, both tactical and strategic, because what we're doing is not different than what anybody else is doing, right? Like, everybody else on the internet that's trying to start a business, whether it's an affiliate business, whether it's a network marketing business, whether it's an internet marketing business, whether it's a software as a service, whether it's a Shopify store, whatever, is trying to build an audience, right? And in some way, shape, or form, doing content creation and or ad creation. And if you're not doing any content creation, I guess it's different than what we're doing, right? But we're creating content on a regular basis. We're distributing it. We're exposing people to our stuff. And then people are coming into our world and they're wanting to buy and purchase our products and services, because they like what we do and we deliver the type of value and benefit that they're looking for. Right.
Right.
So, your questions are the same as everyone else's questions when it comes down to, like, spreading the word on social with short form video, when it comes to live streaming, when it comes to building doing a webinar and so on. So if you shift your focus from just questions about what you're doing to questions about what we're doing, with a emphasis on you wanting to take more leadership in those projects so that you understand all of the details. Like, we can talk about, like, talk marketing shop in here real openly, and it will be super beneficial to everybody, and to actually talk about the strategy, and then, well, what are we doing to make that happen in the next couple of days, dude? Like, let's get that figured out, right? So we can make it very practical, like very like, how do we both do our jobs better? How do we synchronize up with each other more effectively? This kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, that opens up the door to a whole new conversation. I mean, many new conversations. Yeah, like
that normally would be reserved for offline.
Yep, exactly.
Right. But at the same time, those kind of conversations aren't so good if we're interviewing more people, which we're going to be doing a lot of. So, whatever. It gives us some more options, right?
It does, yep.
Cool. Okay, so let's talk about webinars. Let's talk about list webinars. I know you didn't overtly ask about list building, but ultimately, if you're doing a free webinar that you have to register for, you're inevitably building your list.
Building a list, yeah, exactly.
At least one would hope, right? And so, okay, so I'm going to read your original ChatGPT inspired question, which was, if you had to get 100 plus highly targeted webinar signups in the next 7 days and turn those attendees into booked calls as efficiently as possible, what are the exact steps that you would take in order to make it happen? Okay. And we refined that to something along the lines of, I can't remember what we said. How do I get a bunch of people to register for my webinar and sign up for sales calls in the process?
Yeah.
Right. I'm doing my webinar next
something like
week.
that. Yep.
Right. And so it's cool to have a goal of 100 and to have a numeric goal. So there are a couple different types of goals, right? There's outcome goals and there's process goals. And so outcome goals are 100 webinar signups, 10 calls booked, and 5 sales closed with $25,000 collected.
Right.
That would be a great example, right?
Yep.
Cool. Outcome. In the meantime, what's your process? Because the process is the only thing you can actually control. The
True.
outcome you can influence, but you can't control it. Okay.
Right.
You can't control how much weight you lose, but you can control how much you exercise and how much you eat and what you eat.
Yeah.
Right. So you have a goal for where you're heading with your weight loss, but don't stay tied to the goal. Stay tied to the process. And that means exercising twice a day, eating a vegetarian diet or whatever, whatever your thing is. So
yep.
When it comes to a webinar, you want to know how to get, so I can answer this so many different ways. So give me a more refined question. Like when you say, what's the exact process? What do you want to know first?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, what specific action would you prioritize in order to get the most amount of enrollment into your webinar? Like the highest enrollment?
So, okay. Well, all right. I'm just going to ask this like you didn't know, but I think you do. So step one, you have a registration page for your webinar. You have a squeeze page. The only thing you can do on that page is put in your name, your email, and these days more and more people are requiring phone number for text messages and text communication and not relying on email because email sucks more and more lately. I hate to admit it. And so email is more and more problematic. Like it's just more and more difficult to win with email. That doesn't mean give up. That means double down. But double down means a lot of hard work and probably a lot of hard work doing stuff that you don't know how to do. That's what it means for me. That's why I say it sucks.
Okay.
It used to be a creative game for me, and now it's a technical game. Now I have to like have my details on technology and having all the little like I's dotted and T's crossed properly, or you don't get delivered. And like being super detail oriented was never my number one. So it's like being really great at email right now involves me getting good at one of my greatest weaknesses.
All right.
Yeah. It's like, oh, and I haven't done it yet. So,
okay.
One way or the other, you got to have a squeeze page. Okay?
Right. I have that built.
Yeah. Headline, subhead, opt-in form. Right. Got to have a squeeze page.
Right. I feel like I could improve the squeeze page I have.
Yeah. So, what social media platforms can you currently post to? Are you set up with?
I mean, I'm primarily on Facebook. I cross post. All my Facebook posts get automatically posted to Instagram, but not very active on there otherwise. And I don't have a huge following, and I get very little engagement on my content on Instagram.
How much do you engage with other people's content on Instagram?
Almost none.
That's why.
You
get what you give, dude.
Yeah. I'm just not on. I never really. I don't know. There's something about Instagram. I never really got it.
One woman show, as a one person army, being successful on more than one platform at a time is very difficult unless you are a social media butterfly.
Exactly.
And you love it. And I don't. So
right. Yeah.
Okay, so
Facebook's just kind of my jam.
At the same time, like step one is 90 minutes a day outbound, meaning of social, basically 90 minutes a day of posting, commenting on, adding value, creating content, blah 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 on whatever social platforms you're going to play with.
Yep.
Okay. And don't make all 90 minutes you talking. Make 30 minutes you talking and creating some stuff, but then like go into other people's groups, school groups, Facebook groups, etc. And like go into other school groups and be number one, baby. You already know how to do it. Like that's part of the point is like, okay, you did it in my group. Now go do it in five more that are about network marketing and go fucking rock. Right. Go make a difference.
Yep. Okay, cool. Yep.
So and the reason for that is you're getting attention and you're helping people. You're doing both at the same time, right?
Yep.
Your social profile on Facebook or whatever is pointing to your webinar opt-in page.
I need to update that and optimize it.
Your posts that you're making on Facebook Lives, on Reels, on Shorts, on written posts, all point one way or the other to a link to register for this week's webinar. And
Yep.
again, don't even say this week's, a link to register for the webinar. Okay.
Yep.
And it's basically like, dude, you're posting 3 to 10 times a day on your platform. Okay. Like realistically, plus interacting with everybody else's stuff that are like asking questions and or doing cool stuff in the various groups that you're part of. Right. Like
Right.
you're socializing in a professional environment, you're networking.
Yep.
Right. So second thing is if you have an email list, you're emailing it twice a day, inviting them to the webinar. Ideally,
Okay.
7 a.m., 7 p.m.
You think two emails a day?
You want to know how to do it? You asked me
All
for
right.
the
Yep.
you asked me for the formula. I'm giving you the formula.
There it is. Yep.
Anything you have a resistance against probably is one of the reasons that you're not getting enough people signed up to your webinar.
Right.
Seriously. And
Yeah.
I don't always follow all of this to the letter. I should, but I don't always, right? So I'm giving you the perfect formula as I know it right now. If you have an ad budget, and you know how to do any type of paid advertising without screwing yourself, then run some ads. But if you don't know how to do that and you don't have money to burn, don't do that. Okay. If you do a social post and it takes off and a bunch of people request information about your webinar, then consider boosting that post. You know, spend $5 or $10 a day and see if you can get any traction with it. Right. But every time you do it, look at it as a test just to see. And if you're spending money on ads, it's toilet paper money, meaning you've got to be able to flush it down the toilet and not care. That's probably what's going to happen to it.
Right.
Until you get good. And you don't know how long it's going to take you to get good. You don't know. So you don't know how long it's going to take you to get positive ROI on your ad spend. So if you're spending money every single day, if it's $25 a day, it's $25 a day. You've got to be ready, willing, and able to throw down the toilet. Okay. So and that's just across the board, however you're doing it, whatever platforms you're doing it on, you know, you can advertise almost everywhere these days. But you got to be, if you're going to roll the dice, you got to be willing to lose.
Definitely.
So after they register, they are automatically going to go onto an email list. And so you're probably going to do your webinar with Zoom. And so whether they're registering through a Zoom registration page or whether they're registering through a registration page that you create on an outside funnel building platform, either way, you want to add them to an email list outside of just Zoom.
Right.
Okay. And depending on the platform that you're using, you may or may not need to get Zapier involved in order to pass all the data through properly. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and then they go on an email list and they get an email that says, welcome to the webinar, and gives them all their information, and then links them back. And I haven't mentioned this yet, but links them back to a video, ideally, of you that then moves them into a book a call process or a low ticket offer that you're making. Okay. So what happens after they register and opt in for the webinar is they hit a thank you page. And the
Right.
thank you page, and 100% of the people that register, I mean, it might be slightly less than 100%, but basically 100% of the people that register for your webinar are going to hit that thank you page. Okay. And those people are interested in what you have to offer right now. They're registering for a webinar later, but they're interested right now.
Correct.
Their mind is on the problem that you solve right now, and their mind is on the benefit that they're going to get right now. In 2 days, they're going to be somewhere else doing something else, thinking about something else, stressing out about something else. Okay. So, and there are lots of webinars that happen these days. And this is why 30% webinar attendance is often considered good. Right. So that's the reality, is that most people probably won't attend your webinar if it's free. The majority probably won't attend. Now, if you can crack the code on consistently solving that problem, you'll make a lot more money and you'll be a lot more successful much more quickly. Some people can do it for a period of time. That's it. Sometimes a long period of time, sometimes a short period of time. You can always focus on improving, and you should. But low attendance, I'm not saying plan for it, but like, don't be bummed out if you have super low attendance.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially in your first few webinars. You don't know what you're doing yet. You don't even know how to write good emails yet. Like, you know. And so after they opt in, they should land on a video, on a thank you page. And in my opinion, it should be a video of you done on Zoom, done on StreamYard, done with your phone, whatever, but very personal. And I like to say something like, hi. And if there's two people, like we could do it on StreamYard, like we're doing right now. And I basically, hi, my name's Tellman Knudsen. I'm so happy that you just registered for the hypnosis webinar on productivity. We're going to help you to dramatically increase your focus, overcome procrastination, and get more productive than you've been in your entire life. So hold on to your hat, because this is going to be absolutely bananas. We're going to do a live group hypnosis session during the webinar, where you can actually experience hypnosis for yourself and get direct benefit to during our session together. So I'm really, really looking forward to doing that. But what I can say is that if you already know me, if you've already experienced working with me or listening to any of my hypnosis recordings, and you already know that you want my help in order to start making more money, growing your business, removing the resistance, overcoming the obstacles, and taking action in the direction of your goals right away, then I have a very special offer for you. And what I'm offering right now is for anyone that wants to work with me directly, signing up for your first session, you can pay what you want. You can name your own price. You can pay what it's worth to you to make the change that you want to make. All you have to do is click the link below. You can go to workwithtellman.com and you can actually sign up for a private hypnosis session. Most people that I work with are entrepreneurs or wantrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs who have a business, entrepreneurs who want to have a business, want to break free from their current income limitations, and they want to start a full-time or a part-time business, but something seems to be holding them back. I help both wantrepreneurs and entrepreneurs break free from their current mental, financial obstacles and start taking action on the business and life in the direction of their goals. I also work with a lot of people on productivity, overcoming procrastination, these types of thinking bigger, and so on. So I highly recommend, if you want to work with me directly and you don't want to wait for the webinar, then you can cut the line. And I only accept one client per day, 5 days a week. So you can go to workwithtellman.com in order to do that. Anyway, highly recommended. I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the webinar. If you want to connect earlier, workwithtellman.com is the place to do it. And this is going to be awesome. Really looking forward to it. You should have received an email from me Tellman@overcomeeverything.com, but you should also receive an email from Zoom.com. So I want you to be sure to look in your spam, look in all mail, prioritize emails from me and Zoom, so you have your personalized link to come and join our group hypnosis session. It's gonna totally kick butt and revolutionize the way that you take action each and every day. So I'm really looking forward to sharing this with you. That's all for now. Thanks for signing up, and I hope to see you in a couple of days, if not sooner, on a private session. So you would obviously say that now, okay. And by the way, workwithtellman.com is totally live, and you absolutely can sign up for a private session. Name your own price there if you'd like. I do have a few spots available for next week. So what I was thinking about, so generally you have a video, and it makes your offer, and then gives people a link either to the order form or the sales page. Okay, but if what you're trying to do is book calls, then you would essentially do the same thing, except they'd click a button and they'd either be brought directly to your Calendly, or they'd click a button and Calendly would open down below the video. What I would recommend that you do is that before you record your video, I would recommend that you write it out in text in as few words as possible. Basically make an outline of what you're going to say, few words as possible, maybe run it through ChatGPT, and then stick it up on the page so that even if they don't watch the video, it's very easy to read. And going through the process of writing that out and putting it on the page and having it in front of you while you're recording your video will just make your video clearer. And when they see the words on the page, they've already taken in 80% of your message before they've even watched your video. So
Right,
the video
sure.
could be on
Yep.
top, the words could be below, and then a button or even your Calendly form could be down below that. But you would give people all of the information that they need in order to intelligently book a call, right? And
Right.
so if your goal is to generate revenue right away, though, as
Yep.
I've mentioned to you in the past, another option here is you can have an offer and a link to an offer on your thank you page. So again, you have your video, you welcome them into the webinar, you thank them for being there, you do all the things, and then you say, and if you want to get started on learning how to crack the code on your money mindset, if you want to experience wealth hypnosis before the webinar even happens, if you want to start getting your head in the right space right now today, then I have an amazing offer for you. I just took my best-selling prosperity process program. I've been selling it for $375 for 15 years, and we are now offering it for $27 or whatever. And and so that's that low ticket offer. Or you could also do the same thing with an affiliate offer,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
That taught, hopefully that is a legitimate process that taught you and was a important piece to the puzzle for you to learn, or it teaches an element and does a good job of teaching the element or giving you the ability or skill that you need to. So you could also do something like, you could promote a Weber through their affiliate program and be like building an email. So before the webinar, there's one thing that you should know about network marketing. This is the most important thing. I've interviewed a bunch of very successful network marketers, and the one thing that is unquestionably true is that all of the successful network marketers have an email list that they mail regularly. And you can't have an email list unless you have an autoresponder. And the best autoresponder in the world is blank. And that's why I set up a very special deal with them, where if you sign up through my link, you'll get X, Y, and Z, maybe even a free email marketing consultation with you, as a bonus. And how to do email marketing for network marketing call, which then turns into another sales call. But so there are different ways to do that, Eric. But one way or the other, whatever it is that you're promoting on the thank you page is a step into what you want to accomplish, either directly into sales calls or another type of offer.
Another offer.
What
Yeah,
tends to
exactly.
work well is an entry level, low ticket offer.
Yep.
With good upsells. And so then the first email that they receive from you and all of the emails that they receive from you point back to that video and or that offer, whether it's an offer, whatever makes sense, or a variation of that video. You know what I mean? It might not make sense to keep pointing them back to the webinar thank you page. Maybe you do an edited version or a retake, where you're like, hey, here, like, are you, you want to know more about the comp plan before the webinar? I'm going to tell you all about it today.
Right.
And then you can deliver a series of videos in chunks, for example, for a few days before they get on the webinar. Even if it's the same information that you're teaching on the webinar. People need to hear things multiple times anyway for it to sink in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So, like, don't worry about repeating the same information, because you're going to be presenting it differently. Your vibe's going to be different, whatever.
Right. No, that's great. Yeah. I mean, I could make a very short, condensed, just comp plan training, 15 minutes.
Yep, exactly. Do a comp plan training, do a water ionizer demonstration.
Exactly.
Turning it on, watching the buttons glow, pouring the water, drinking it.
Oh, you know what's really cool that I could do in the machine demo is you hold a lighter to the stream of water and it combusts due to the hydrogen gas present in the water. It's like little miniature explosions. It makes people realize there's actually something different about this water that's not the same as
Get a blowtorch.
Blowtorch. Yeah. No, yeah, we have these little mini torch lighters. Yep.
Yeah, get a blowtorch and get like a flame retardant suit and like
yeah, right. Yeah.
But yeah, doing a series of videos like that and then putting them on YouTube so people can watch them anyway. And each one of the videos drives back to what?
The webinar registration page. No.
Well, each one of those videos, if they're on YouTube, could in the description perhaps drive back to the webinar registration page, but they all drive to book a call.
Okay.
Because your goal is to book calls, remember?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would just have a separate squeeze page to get the new people's email information to book a call or what?
They're going to put in their information. Yeah, I mean, just work it out, dude. Just like one way or the other. You could. The way I would do it is I would probably say, I'd probably have 2 links. I'd say if you're watching this for the first time and you're not registered for the webinar, go to this link to register for the webinar. If you're already registered for the webinar, then you can go to this link and you're ready. You can go to this link to book a call with me.
Yeah, that works. Yep.
Not that complicated, right? And you don't need to be like cagey about it. Just like tell people how to do it, So you could do one where you do the comp plan demo, your comp plan. You could do one where you do a machine demo, and then you could do one where you do all about the opportunity. Yeah. And the other one is, which I guess maybe is the comp plan demo. Then the other one is the all about water.
Yep.
So like you have 3 or 4 videos that basically are the sections of your webinar.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So now
stories of transformation, all that.
So now what happens is you get a series of emails that go out automatically, regardless of when they joined your list. So they join your list and they're going to go out day 1, day 2, day 3, whatever. But they're also going to be getting emails about the upcoming webinar. They might do all of them. They might only do certain things. They might not get some emails. They might not see some videos. They might not see any videos and not attend the webinar, which is why you do the thank you page, right? So basically, that's what you do first.
All right.
is
I like that.
you have
That
an
sounds like
email
a
sequence that drips on them. You have, you can do that after, you know what I mean? Like the priority is, basically promote the crap out of your webinar every week and improve your title every week, improve your copy, improve the squeeze page. At some point, once you have some traffic, improve your thank you page. Once you're making some money, like if you know how to set up Facebook and whatever platform retargeting pixels that you need to on your website, so that when you are ready to start advertising, retargeting is usually the cheapest.
okay.
And so if you have it, like learning about advertising first and paid ads first and getting like the pixels in place and things first is hugely beneficial, because once you start making some money, then you can, unless if you have enough money to do it already, then great. But if you don't, and you're starting from scratch and you're running on fumes, which a lot of people are, then start warming up the pixel, teaching Facebook and Google and all the powers that be who your audience is, and then when you're ready, start spending $5-10 a day retargeting the people who visited your website but not registered for your webinar.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And so that's step one. And so will that get you 100 people the first week?
Probably not, but
well, it depends on who you are, how
yeah.
influential you are. One thing you can definitely do is you can just write an email and a text message that is intelligent and appropriate, inviting everyone one person at a time, to your new webinar to check it out and be like, I'm just getting started. I'm trying to build the audience, and I could really use your support, even if whether or not you're interested in Kagan or network marketing. I'm reaching out to everybody I know to help build up some momentum or something.
Right.
You don't tell them not to buy or whatever, but like come up with a message that is like, hey, I'm doing a webinar, and I'm trying to get as many people on as possible. If you're available and interested, I would love to see you there. No purchase required. I'm not trying to be a weirdo by promoting this to my friends, but I would love to have you be on the webinar
Right.
anyway.
Sure.
Like,
Yep.
And not only that, but you have almost 400 people in your Facebook group. Private message every single one of them. Not the same thing either. Like, try to personalize it.
Right. Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay. So, the next thing that you can do, you do that every week, and then if there is a way, then you need to start figuring out how to do your webinar in front of other people's audiences. And you're going to have a hard time with that because you're in network marketing, and why would anyone want you to do your webinar in front of their audience when they're not making any money?
Right. Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the answer to that is you could help people to do webinars who are maybe are in your upline, and maybe not in your line at all, but just to be cool, just to network and help people do webinars. We've also talked about doing webinars for your downlines list. And so realizing that most of the time, when people sign up on your team, most of them are probably going to have less experience than you, have a smaller following than you, and not have as much influence as you.
Okay, right.
Occasionally, you'll bump into someone who has more influence than you.
Yep.
But rarely. But still, when that happens, that's a great person for you to do a webinar with, so that everybody can get familiar. And when you do your webinar for their audience, you do make money.
True.
Even if they're promoting. So you kind of have to do it in reverse a little bit. But that's where you teaching your people how to do short form video and social in a way that works is so valuable to you, because you teaching your downline how to do that and then doing it, and then you doing webinars with them for their, it's like gold, it's like infinite gold mine if you do that successfully, right? So that's the answer, Eric. I
Great.
mean,
I took a ton of notes. I've got pages of notes from that.
Right? You do it every week.
Yep.
And then you get better and better at it. And then once you get it cooking, right, you either do evergreen webinars or you just keep doing them live, because the reality is that live connection with all the AI stuff now, I think that live connection is going to become more and more and more important, because everyone's using AI in order to avoid it. And so AI still reduces trust in people. Like it creates a rapport barrier. It creates a trust barrier. It's cool, and it does some amazing things. But it's like people are wary. Like, am I talking to an AI? I can't tell.
I know, right?
It's getting weird.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. So, yeah. Do you have any? We got this guy, Rory Stern, introduced me to. I can't pronounce your name, dude. I'm so sorry. Shoab Akhtar. I'm sure I just destroyed that. Sorry, very American of me. This guy is a podcast networker.
Cool.
And he connects people up with, and I'm just getting to know him. We haven't talked yet, so I'm trying to figure out what his deal is. So thanks for coming on the show, dude. And then Liz Fuller is here. She says, good plan. I had a lot of good podcast experiences, but the process, then she says, the process is harder for me, easier to set the goal than to find the process. And then please tell me what you think. Ask for their opinion. I'm not quite sure what you mean on that last one, Liz, but yeah. Set the goal and then do the process. You got to do both, and the process is actually the only part that matters. I mean, it is important that you're going in the right direction, but the process is the only thing that's going to get you there. Right. And that's like getting up out of bed in the morning and working out. Like, that's the deal, Cool. So I know we've been going for like an hour and 15 minutes. I need to check in with my daughter here shortly. Eric, do you have any clarifying questions at this point on anything we've gone over today?
Right now, I have a lot of great information. I took a ton of notes, and I feel like I have a lot of clarity on what I need to do to implement the system that you just described. And yeah, I feel excited to do it. And yeah, when I sketch these out in my notes, I love thinking about them in terms of systems and steps. And like, I draw little arrows where this step leads to this step, and then that takes them to this thing, and then that takes them to that thing. And I'll have a little arrow pointing. And then sometimes there's a diversion where the arrow can go in two different directions for different options of things you can do. So yeah, I've a lot of notes I just took that look like that. And yeah, I feel excited to put it all together and get it in action.
That's a really important point you just made, Eric, and it's an oversight on my part. It's a mistake I've made several times that you're bringing up. So, visual is probably my least active sense.
Oh, okay.
But for some reason, I hang out with lots of visual artists. It seems like, so often it's become so important with the teams that I've worked with and built. It's become so important to clearly visually map out a sales process or we call them sales funnels now, but like, I was doing this a long time before it was called, before that was in the lexicon, right, in the language. And I think I just used the word lexicon correctly.
I'm not familiar with that word, so I
Sounded
wouldn't be
good.
able to
It
tell
sounded
you.
good.
I'm like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the idea of making it visual is super important. There, as a matter of fact, you know who's really good at creating exceptionally detailed flowcharts for sales funnels is Ganesh. He's
Oh,
really good at it.
okay, cool. Yeah, that's his
So
specialty.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see all of that stuff in my head, kind of in 4 dimensions.
Oh, cool.
And see how they're all moving around and whatever. But I don't normally think to draw it. I don't
All
normally
right.
think to put it on paper, and
Yeah.
sharing that visually with teams that are building things is so important so that everybody understands and has the clearest blueprint possible.
Mm-hmm.
Given the tools that we have and the amount of time that we're willing to spend on the blueprint, right? At least gets a rough draft of what we're building. And like when you're building something in the physical world, if you want it to like have a chance at holding up, like I think drawing it out first is a pretty important thing.
Yeah, I think so too. Yep.
It's probably one of the reasons that I'm not a builder.
Okay.
I don't tend to go there. So there's a cool piece of software that John Reese built that he sold to Russell Brunson called Geru, Geru. I'm not sure its current status, geru.com. I think he sold it to Russell anyway. That's what I heard. That not only allowed you to do that, but also it allows you to like plug in the conversion numbers on the different pages and elements of your system.
Oh, cool.
And to map out expected earnings on the sales process based on your estimated numbers. And then you run it, and then you run your sales process.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see where your numbers are on point and where they were way off, and you adjust them. And
Yep.
then you can see not only the visual elements of the system, but you can see the percentages of people that are going from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 3A or step 3B, etc.
Right.
Opt-in, from the email to the opt-in, from email or social media to the opt-in process to the sales process to the upsell process, and all the emails or text messages, etc. in between. So you can get really detailed about it, and that might be a very with your visual orientation, I suspect that would be a very valuable step in our process that we've been skipping.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah. Cool. Rock and roll. All right, let's wrap up this episode.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You want to do a quick commercial for Pure Path?
Yeah. So my Facebook group, Pure Path to Prosperity, is an amazing community okay, so this is for you if you this is for you if you are at a point in your life where you want to create significant change, you're not happy with the way things are, and there's things about your life that you wish could be different. You want to be spending more time with your family, with your partner, with your kids, doing the things you love doing, have the ability to work from home. Maybe you're making a bunch of money with your current job, but it's doing something that you don't really enjoy. Or maybe you even enjoy doing it, but it's keeping you stuck in a different environment than you want to be at. You want to be at home with your family, create your own work environment, create your own schedule, work when you want. You could work in your pajamas if you wanted to, and not have to do the whole thing at your 9 to 5
live
or
stream
whatever.
in your pajamas if you wanted to.
Right. Yeah. You could, I might have my slippers on right now. You don't know.
I don't know. We have no
That's
idea
right.
what you have on right now, Eric. No idea.
Nope. But yeah, Pure Path to Prosperity is the place to be if you are looking to create significant change in your life, create more prosperity in your life, learn about high ticket network marketing. We're going to be talking about that in there, and I'm hosting webinars, and I'm going to be sharing about the incredible opportunity with Enagic and Kangen water ionizers that I'm working with and have been building with for the past 5 years. And this is an opportunity where you can create a lot of leverage where you can make a lot of money per each sale. It's not like regular low ticket sales where you're selling high volumes of things and making just a little bit of money on each sale and have to, sell 500 things to make $10,000. You could sell 10 things in this opportunity and make $10,000, depending where you are in the rank system. And if you want to learn more about that, join my Facebook group, Pure Path to Prosperity. You can look it up on Facebook and it's easy to find, or you can click the link in the description.
On fire. You can even light your water
you can light your water on fire. It's got hydrogen gas to where it's a lot of people think, oh, water's water. It's like, actually, just try this on your tap water and tell me what happens. You can you hold a lighter to the stream of water and there's combustion.
Don't tell people to do that. Don't tell people to do that, Eric.
Okay, don't try this at home, kids.
No. The only one who's allowed to do that, don't get yourself into trouble with that. Yeah. Don't try this. Don't try this at home. Eric's the only one who's allowed to try lighting his water on fire. Seriously.
I mean, maybe if they're living in a really polluted city, I would hope
you don't want anybody lighting their kitchen on fire under your orders. That's not acceptable.
Yeah, don't
try that. That was
that.
A joke, ladies and gentlemen. You're not to try to light your water on fire.
Probably won't light on fire anyway, but
that's right. Hopefully not.
But yeah, Pure Path to Prosperity. Look it up on Facebook. You can find me. It's an awesome community space, and you can also click the link in the description of this video, which will link you right to the group.
Rock and roll. Cool, guys. Well, so there are two very special things that you can do today. That's three. You can join the Pure Path to Prosperity is number one. Number two is we've opened the doors to our paid community at getshitdone.com. You can go join, get a lifetime membership for free right now for a limited time at getshitdone.com. You get the Get Shit Done session where I'm going to hypnotize you to get shit done. You're going to learn the Get Shit Done system. You're going to get the 10K per month session. You're going to get the Overcome Procrastination session. All when you join getshitdone.com today. That's number one. Number two is I still have a couple client spots available for next week. If you want a private session with me, you get to name what it's worth to you. Pay what the transformation that you want is worth to you. You are in control. We're going to put you back in the driver's seat of your life. Workwithtellman.com is the place it starts. All right. That's it for today. We had an 1.5 hour long episode. I think this might be our longest one yet, Eric.
It may be. Yeah. I'd say what you just offered is a really good deal, but that's an insane deal. Lifetime membership for free with all the free giveaways that you have inside the group and your name your price hypnosis session. That's epic.
That's right. That's right. It is. It is indeed. Rock and roll. All right, everybody. Well, Eric, thank you for another wonderful episode. We will not see you tomorrow because we will be seeing Curtis, assuming
that's right.
I have power. We're going to get a ton of snow overnight, so we'll see.
Oh, okay.
But
all right.
I guess I can probably do it from my phone, even if I don't have power. We'll see. Anyway, probably see you guys at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And assuming no snow-related power outages. And Eric, you know what time it is?
It's time to get shit done.
It's time to get shit done. Done. Bye.
See you later.